We need an education system that works, but we need one that we can afford. The homestead is one way to get some homeowners a relief because we're at a breaking point when it comes to property taxes.
Coming at you from the Carbon County Cocktail Lounge, we've got another episode of Talking with Doyle with State Representative Doyle Heffley. As always, we're joined by the indomitable Hunter Kipe and the disembodied voice of producer Chuck on the ones and twos. Doyle, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to have a little bit of a conversation on a topic that we always hear about, and property taxes, and more importantly, the homestead, right? What the Homestead Act did, what the Homestead Exemption is, because I think there's some concerns that folks have. So in Carbon County, but also statewide, I often get the question asked to me, why are our property taxes so high? Whatever happened to the gaming? I thought Ed Rendell promised we're going to legalize gambling and casinos in Pennsylvania, and we're going to have property tax relief for everyone. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Well, to kick things off, can you actually explain what the Homestead Act is and the background behind it?
Yeah, so the Homestead Act, that was a thing that was passed before I was elected into office. It goes back to the Rendell years. Rendell and a lot of folks wanted casinos in Pennsylvania. Now, they've been around for quite a while, and they do generate revenue. About maybe $1 billion a year. So the Homestead Act, basically what the Homestead says is your homestead is your primary residence. So it's a place that you live. So as a homeowner, the house that you live in, you get the Homestead Exemption. So there's an exemption that you get on your property tax. And when you look at your tax bill, you'll see there's a little line item on there about how much exemption you get, right? So, and that exemption is paid for partly by the gaming revenues, right? There's a couple of different ways that money comes out, but the slot revenue, the gaming revenue goes into the Homestead Exemption, and then it is driven back out to the individual homeowner.
Okay, so for example, I'm not a homeowner, for example. Does that also apply to me, or does this only strictly apply to homeowners and not renters?
So the Homestead Exemption is for the homestead. It's your primary homestead, farmstead, right? Mm-hmm. So if you live on your farm, if you live in your home, that's where you're going to get that. Now, there is the property tax rent rebate program. So renters and folks that pay property tax where they own or rent, because renters do pay property taxes indirectly through their rent, because if your landlord isn't collecting the property taxes, they're losing money, correct? So that's a different program. And if folks are looking to get their property tax rent rebate, they can go come to my office in Carbon County, at Albrightsville. We have one in Weisport and Lansford. And we'll help them do their property tax rent rebate. But the homestead, and why? Because there was an article in the paper, and I think even some business officials or business managers of school districts fully don't understand it, which is kind of disappointing because those folks earn a lot of money and should fully comprehend this. But what the homestead does is a little bit different than a property tax rent rebate. The property tax rent rebate is funded partially by lottery funds. And that money goes in. And so if you're a low-income senior citizen or somebody that's on disability, you can come in and you can qualify for that, and it pays up to $1,000. We enhanced that a few years ago to provide up to $45,000 in net income for a household. And that's only half of your Social Security, that's figured into that, and you can get rebates. I mean, so that's a great program. Mm-hmm. People come in and apply for it. The other thing is the homestead. So how the homestead works is the money comes in through the gaming fund and then is driven out to homestead exemptions. And you'll get that. So each school district, for example, Panther Valley School District, this year they got $1,200,000 or $284,484 in homestead exemption. That's up from last year where they got $1,118,723, and that goes out to the school district. But that's paid for by the Commonwealth. So the school district sets the property tax rate, right? And then the gaming money goes to offset for the homestead exemption. There's no money that is lost by the school district because either the property owner will pay that or the Commonwealth through the gaming funds will pay that. So there's an article in the paper stating that the school district had to raise taxes on homeowners because of the homestead exemption, and they were getting additional money from the state. Well, that's just totally inaccurate because the money to the school district doesn't change whether or not you as a homeowner pay all of it or the Commonwealth pays a portion of that. It's still the same amount of money. So if you want to justify a tax increase on homeowners, You can't do it by saying it's because of the homestead, and I think we just need to clarify that because there has been some confusion as to how that system works.
So the school district isn't losing any money. Are they actually gaining money from this exemption?
No, it's kind of a wash, right? Because
Okay.
the property tax rate is set, like it's whatever they set it to be, and then the homestead owners are gonna get last year it was $1.1 million, and this year it's $1.2 million, and that's going to be driven out to each homestead for their exemption, and then that exemption comes right off the bottom, and then the Commonwealth sends that money to the school district
Okay.
instead of the homeowner. So it's just offset. It's that $1.2 million. They're going to get it from the property taxes, but the state's saying, hold on, we're going to give you this $1.2 million because that came from the gaming revenue. Now, I think there's a lot of things we could do to eliminate and reduce property taxes. I have legislation
Of course.
to enhance the homestead exemption. I'd like to see it up to 100% as is allowed. I also have legislation to provide every homeowner in the Commonwealth up to $1,000 using some of the surplus dollars. But at the end of the day, right now, this issue with homestead, I just wanted to clarify that money isn't coming out of the school district's funds. That money is the taxpayers getting a reduction because the Commonwealth through the gaming revenue is paying that.
Folks or even business managers as well that would have any questions on that, should they call your district office for more guidance? Should they contact a specific department?
Yeah, I mean, local newspapers run these articles. If anybody says anything at a meeting and then they run an article about it, they could always contact my office for clarity because I think it's important that that the public understands what the processes are. Now, look, gaming as sold by Ed Rendell and the folks that voted for that years ago. And look, I'm not opposed to gaming or gambling. I'm not opposed to the casinos, but it's never going to offset the total cost of property taxes. Right now, it's close to $19 billion what we collect through property taxes in the Commonwealth to pay for public education. And every year, the school district, the state spends more money. Local districts still raise money. So I mean, we need an education system that works, but we need one that we can afford. The homestead is one way to get some homeowners a relief. I would like to enhance that, but right now the system is set at what it is, and then also the property tax rebate, we can drive those dollars up. But at the end of the day, we need a system that works, but we need a system that homeowners can afford because we're at a breaking point when it comes to property taxes.